celebration. Kensani?
Yes, we're too excited. Then we forget
shocked.
that.
Why are you shocked, Agnes?
We're too excited of the result, then we forget that there's class.
No, man, call everyone. This class, we need. I prepare this class regardless of the results, because I'm always hoping and believing that all the sessions we have is to make sure that we continue to empower you. So everybody needs to come back here. I'm just gonna quickly check. I'm trying to see. Maybe who's recording Damu? Just a quick check. Tell everyone the results are not going to change. They can come attend the session. They can still continue celebrating. The celebration are great. I'm happy that the celebration, the shock. I'm wondering, why are we shocked? Did we not expect our outcomes? So yeah, maybe Ndamu, I don't know who's recording. Maybe just quickly drop a message in there and Viva engage there to get everyone here. This is we have very too few people, and we'll kick off at exactly 8 and 10. I'm just gonna quickly check also on my side if there is anything else I can also pause. Unfortunately, I can't go delete your results on my personal folder. I'm sure you guys have already downloaded them. Hey.
Hi, Annie.
Hi.
On my side, I'm still waiting for task C and the overall report. I don't have them. Do I need to log a query?
Absolutely. I think it's been more than 18 hours. I know that the results normally take long. They take some time, but I think I checked with the team. They said they confirmed if by latest 12 midday, 1 o'clock, you had not received everything, definitely do log a query. The team will look into it. But I do know that it was taking a bit of time, so not everyone could have received them last night. Some of you might have received them today. So if you log the query before then, perhaps not. But I do know that by 12 o'clock, by midday, the team did confirm that all the results, including the overall report, were already released. If you have not received, please do log the assessment query. Just do follow. It's important. Please log an assessment query. If you drop me a message, it's not going to be as effective. If you drop anyone else a message, it's not going to be as effective. The best way to do it is to log the assessment query, because we have a team who's just dedicated to making sure that those are attended to and do anything further. But do log an assessment query if you still have not received any part of your results. Chipiwa, should we not delete your results? Are they good? Or you want us to reset them?
No. I'm accepting what I got. I don't want any risks. So don't delete, don't access, don't even look my way, my direction.
Okay. Yeah, you absolutely do. Yeah, okay, that's good. No, I was just saying that I'm wondering where everyone is at, because it was almost 5 past and I had only I think about 20 odd candidates. So I was wondering, and I heard that it's because you guys are celebrating. And I was thinking that maybe we should make the results disappear a bit so that everyone can come here.
They're coming. We are having conversations in the groups, reminding the colleagues of the class. I think some of them had forgotten or it has slipped their mind.
Right. So And I know as they're coming, someone is going to be telling me of the time clock. So I would not also want I would not want us to spend any time further. And my guest has been waiting. She's that punctual person. She was here at 5:30 already to say, hey, are we ready to go? And I think for me tonight is a session packed with I think some nuggets which you guys will be able to utilize, and I'm hoping that also you will engage the two powerhouse ladies, both Tabero and Manuka. Manuka, you already know, but I think the first one who's going to be coming through is Miss Tabero Raphala. Yes, Tabero has. Tabero, what do I call you? Are you call? I think she's beyond an alumni. She's the co-founder of the initial candidates in 2013, 2012, actually, even before Andrew Namo.
The trial pack.
Yes, they are the trial run, the ones who are not scared of trialing stuff. So Tabero has been with us. She's part of the trial run of Andrew Namo. But for me, she always say I'm a stop, but I'm always just amazed at the route she has taken and the journey she has had. For me, it just continues to inspire me. She's one of the women who I look up to. As a woman in business, I check and say, Tabero, can I please have 5 minutes of your coffee time so that I can pick some nuggets on how to continue to maneuver and to continue to make a difference and impact on the different stakeholders which I have to engage with. But she continues to make amazing work. I'm sure as I will not do justice in introducing her, so I'm going to let herself introduce herself. But please do not be shy. At first, she didn't want to introduce anything. She wanted to just go directly. And I was like, no, your slides are missing the introduction. But as I said, I'm also going to drop, I'm going to try share. The slides are actually with me. Yes, but otherwise, high level, really, she's a qualified CA. But she's really that woman who's making the moves in the industry, in the business side, and she continues to be very inspirational. Tabero, you can take it over from here. I'm going to try share on my side as well. Share your slides on my side.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Evening, everyone. I think, like it has mentioned, my name is Tabero Raphala from Venda Rabadi. I think, like most of us, I also came to Joburg because of university. And I then I studied at UNISA, so I studied all the way through to my CTA. It showed me flames, so trial pack. I met Rendani while he was still at National Treasury. So he gave me classes back then before Endunamo was a concept. So that's how far back we know each other. And I think I would say my academic journey really was not easy. I passed my CTA 4th attempt while I was doing my articles at the Auditor General of South Africa. And that then moved to board 1, which I passed on my 3rd attempt. And luckily, I think I passed APC first time around. And I guess maybe because from a business perspective that I got. So that's my academic background. Did my articles at the AG, like I mentioned, and then went into strategy while I was still at the Auditor General. All of that journey was happening while I was an entrepreneur. Started my first business in first year. It was a jumping castle business, which then at the time I sold clothes. Someone bought clothes from China. I would sell for them, took that money, started a jumping castle business where I would rent it out. And post that, it went into a restaurant that I owned with a co-founder in Arcadia, Pretoria. And that then grew into a shuttle business, logistics. It grew into a security company. I'm a qualified security guard, actually. And COVID came, I then went into manufacturing. Logistics had to stop because I was doing non-essential services, unfortunately, and then went into manufacturing of PPE. The whole works did that. Post-COVID, then we evolved into a PPE manufacturing company, which provided PPE for mines, for hospitals, all of that. That's still running. And the logistics company then came back post-COVID. That's still running. And all of that is running while I'm at the AG. Post my journey at strategy, I then came back to business full-time. Why I went into the stuff I do now was because I then led a program called Enterprise and Supplier Development at the Auditor General that I, for 5 years, supported over 80 Black-owned firms, gave them access to market of over 860 million during the time, and really saw the impact that the work I was doing at that point was supporting and changing the lives of our fellow auditors that wanted to own audit firms, that wanted to train. So that then really became my why, my purpose. I want to do more of that. Although I'm running my own businesses, which includes a skills company outside of the work that I do, I am now running MyDo. MyDo is an organization that is supporting enterprises, an enterprise support organization. The simple part of it is we support small businesses, particularly Black-owned businesses in South Africa. We do it in a number of ways, either through enterprise and supply development budgets, through CSI budgets, through marketing budgets, and also provide strategic support to organizations and foundations that really want to support entrepreneurship as an alternative to job creation and employability. So we really are in the heart of how do we then support entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses. So I think that is then about me. I think what you can do is just put it on presentation mode. I think at view, and then it will be easier to just flow with the slides. So that's a bit of my history. I think I spoke to most of it then. So currently I've run programs that have supported just over 10,000 SMEs in full-time programs that we really look at the 360 of a business. We look at the owner, mental health, their capacity to run a business, and to their businesses as well. How do we support you, grow your revenue, scale your business? How do we support you have compliance proper, whether it's industry specific or generic compliance in the country? How do we help you put together systems and processes that will be able to help you take up opportunity in the formal economy? And what then becomes critical as well was, how do we help small businesses, business owners be able to pay themselves? That for us is one of the telltale signs that a business is mature. What normally happens is, the business account is the personal account, or employees are not being paid on time, or they're not being paid at all. So those are some of the fundamental elements in our framework that we look at, because our goal is to support enterprises to become sustainable and to scale. And most importantly, how do they participate in the formal economy? So that's who MyDo is. We are a global company. We work beyond South Africa, and we are right now actually busy scaling. I want to present tonight to you guys the work that we're doing from that front, and how we want to connect 1 million entrepreneurs in Africa with each other and with the rest of the world. I think beyond the work that I'm doing, really, I've been involved in a number of things. I've been recognized for the work that I'm doing. I think the latest one is being a finalist under the 40 under 40 South Africans. I guess I'm honored for that, for the work that I'm currently doing. I've been a top 35 under 35 in 2022. the Mail and Guardian, Women of Stature, they've really awarded me for the work that I'm currently doing in the space. And beyond that, I'm a thought leader, I'm a business coach on radio, I'm a judge at different events. So this is who I am from a professional perspective. I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a loved one, I guess, from a personal perspective. So I think I've done justice in terms of introducing myself. But at heart, really, I'm an academic. I love learning. I love finding solutions for our problems, hence what I do right now. And the why really, maybe if I can explain why I actually particularly support SMEs. I was born to entrepreneur parents. I watched my father start, grow, scale his business. And unfortunately, when he passed away, all of that was all lost, which is a typical story for every average Black person, you know, where they either have family who are business owners or their parents were business owners. And I think for me, spending time in courts with my trainee money, trying to fight for my dad's assets, really later on for me became the why I do what I do. I wouldn't want any other person to go through that experience, you know, just because they don't have the knowledge, the education, or the skill really to run a sustainable business. So that's why I do what I do currently. I think you can move on to the next slide. So today, the conversation for me is about the problem that we're trying to solve. How can, you know, African founders build sustainable businesses that scale? And we are currently solving that through a platform that we've created, social media platform, if I can put it that way, a digital platform called Lemmy. So a story behind Lemmy. Lemmy was born during COVID through my door. So one of the challenges that we had was because a lot of capacity building support and all of that was happening in person, we had to move everything online. So that meant we needed to find a solution to continue supporting them. And at that point, it was so critical so that they don't go under. So we then put together this platform, which at that point in time, it was a repository where we'll just put data, some recordings for them to look at. Over the past couple of years, then it really morphed into a space for entrepreneurs. If you think about LinkedIn, if you think about Insta, Facebook, it's all spaces for different things except an entrepreneur. And what we see is entrepreneurs try and force themselves in there. You know, you can't go on LinkedIn and say, you know, I just hired an employee or I just got a contract. That's not the space. So Lemmy, it's that space. We've created a world for entrepreneurs to manage their business, to grow their business, and to connect with one another, find collaborators, find partners. As we always say, you know, your network is your net worth. So we've created that space for entrepreneurs. Hence, it's a global product. We are launching it in South Africa, but it's definitely a global product where we're standing. Like I said earlier, our goal is to connect 1 million SMEs with one another and the rest of the world to find opportunities both in Africa and globally by 2030. So we've got a few years to get there. You can move on to the next slide. Ada? I'm not sure whether... So what I will do right now, guys, I'm going to explain what Lemmy does. I will share my screen and just showcase to you a live demo in terms of what it does and the type of problem we're trying to solve. A couple of things that SMEs face, right? The founder is the HR person. They are the person that is dealing with business development. They are the person that now must go and find work, hire the right people, do the work. So they do everything. I'll just switch off my screen so that I'm clear enough and bandwidth purposes. So through the work that we've been doing in my door, we found that the founder is everything. They are performing 10 roles at a time. Then the idea now is how then do we support them in ensuring that the business still becomes sustainable, but they have the support that they need. This is then the product. What you see on your screen now, if you can, just give me a thumbs up if you can. What you see on your screen now is literally a desktop app of Lemmy. Like LinkedIn, like any other social media, you can access it on your phone and do work. So what you see in front of you is a social element of it where SMMEs are able to connect with one another. They're able to advertise their work. You're able to get breaking news. You're able to connect with other entrepreneurs. We currently have over 13,000 founders that are in here that are connecting, showcasing their work, celebrating the achievements, either a hire or they want a business advice or anything really to connect with their peers. So it's really a world where entrepreneurs can be themselves. So what we then decided to solve for is 3 key things. How do we help you manage your business? Managing your business meaning, how do you, critical to any business, how do you track your sales? How do you get clients? How do you track them? And how do you grow the business? So what we did was develop a CRM system for our founders.
I don't know.
Hello? Okay, it seems like someone just unmuted. So what we help then founders do is, because you have a lot of different meetings, you can't, you forget which meeting that you had 2 weeks ago, or you were meant to send a code, or you were meant to follow up. We've got a CRM system that helps you do all of that. So on a daily basis, you'll see I've got leads, I've got meetings, I've got code sent, whether you've won a client or whether you've lost a client. So all of this you're able to do anywhere in the world on your phone or your laptop with your team or on your own, so that you're able to manage how your sales are moving as a business, which is critical to the survival of the business. You're able to see how much leads you have in terms of revenue, how much you've sold, how much code is out there. So this really helps the owner to manage the business in terms of its growth, whether they've got enough leads or not. You're also able to, from an accounting perspective, you're able to code, you're able to send invoices, you're able to push transaction statements, and what one will be able to do shortly is pull an income statement through the platform as well. What then becomes important, I will not touch on everything because it's quite a big system, and what one can get is then help you to grow your business. We do that in terms of different things. You're able to get tender alerts on a daily basis so that you've got a back office support that is able to support you. So the idea with this was, because our founders find themselves most of the time selling and doing the work, they don't have time to go find work opportunity. So we have become a back-end business developer that supports them in that perspective. We find work opportunity for you, both locally, private sector, and public sector that one can tap into. So you're able to do that. We've got private clients now that are also sharing their work opportunity in this space as well. So the idea now is then, let's help you find work opportunity beyond anything. Beyond all of this, there is tons of content that one can go into. If you want to have a business proposal, you don't know where to start, that content is available from HR, from a legal perspective, marketing and all of that. So one is able to get that. And you're also able to then manage your teams as well. Managing your teams in terms of tasks that they are supposed to do. You'd find that there's different projects that I'm running. You have either temp staff, or you've got guys that you've just called in for a project. You're able to just go in and look at, what's happening in that project. You're able to then track and hold your team accountable from anywhere you are in the world. If I put down a card now and say, Ndunamo, I must send a contract, I am literally right now able to assign it to someone who must do the work. And at this moment, they will be able to get the work. I'll just assign it to a team member. And right now, as I speak to you, they just received a notification that I've assigned them a task. So all of this really is to then help the entrepreneur get to a point where they're able to know and understand what's happening in their business. They're able to touch all the different functions of their business without feeling overwhelmed. They're able to, as they grow, get their teams in and be able to manage them easier. They're able to connect with other entrepreneurs as well, because you do find opportunities that are quite big and you can't, do that work on your own. So you're able to tap into a network and say, you know what, I've got a tender or a proposal that I need to do, and I need to, get an accountant. It's an engineering job, but I need an accountant in the job. So you're able to connect. Sorry about the delay. You're able to connect with other, like-minded colleagues that you can collaborate in as well in different jobs. So the idea for the solution is to support a small business, either a freelancer who does not own, who doesn't want to really grow a fully fledged business, is just a 3-team member team, and they're fine with that, or it's just a project that one is running and they really want to, tap into a system that works, or it's a team of 50 and they really want to run their business and manage the day-to-day functions. So the solution is meant to support the entrepreneur with that. With that said, I think I'll go back to my slides, Eddie. I just wanted to give you an idea of the solution that we are selling, or that the business is having and trying to solve for SMEs. So a couple of things then come up, with a product like that. We are in Africa, there's different opportunities, there's different challenges that are in place. You can move on to the next slide. And how does one, from an executive perspective, think about launching, scaling this solution in Africa? That's where we are. Those are the challenges, or those are the opportunities that we are solving for. I think you can move on to the next slide. So currently, what's happening is there is a big demand by small businesses to grow. They want, access to opportunities, either tenders or gigs, or, an opportunity to sell their products online. We actually have an e-commerce store as well, where owners can showcase their products. I want to be productive. I want to be able to be compliant so that I'm able to take up opportunities. I want to connect. I want to educate myself and my team. So the product is really there to say, we want to support you in all of that. The challenges that we then face, let me just go to the target market first, actually. So in the country, what we are finding is we've got over 2 million, SMEs that are available, and over 44 million SMEs in Africa in 2021. So that's a lot of SMEs that are available, but we all know the challenges that we face on the ground. So you find that a lot of them just struggle to scale and become a medium-sized and large business. So the solution is to help them in that journey. So with all of these SMEs in Africa, the market is there, the solution is available, and some of the African countries that we're finding that are quite big in having SMEs that are clued up, that really want to grow. Definitely South Africa, we're one of those. There's Nigeria, there's Kenya, there's Rwanda, Morocco, Egypt. Those are the big ones that we are finding available, that have a base of SMEs that are young as well, and also that really want to have, entrepreneurship as a decision that they want to go into and not necessarily a fallback. So there is a market. What we are finding then as challenges, particularly in the South African context, is, although there's a high penetration of smartphones, which makes it easier for us to launch the product, we are finding that from internet penetration, it's high, but connectivity and data costs the connectivity is low and data costs are high. We are a digital platform that does need data for our users to be able to use the functionalities of the app. So from when I think about the geopolitical issues, the conversation now that's happening with Elon Musk directly impacts us, as a business. If Starlink is to come into the country, it might drive data down, which would mean a bigger reach for our users. And also we'll be able to penetrate the rest of Africa quite well. So from a geopolitical perspective, those conversations interest us because they have a direct impact on how quickly we're able to roll out the app. We also then have a high concentration of fragmentation in markets where, you know, other African regions are facing similar challenges. We've had a drive for the past 2 years now, traveling African countries just to understand the dynamics of those countries and whether the solution then speaks to them. From a basic perspective, definitely does speak to them. We're all facing the same challenges, from productivity to managing your business on a daily basis to, you know, scaling by getting more work and increasing your revenue. However, there's unique country challenges that one faces. For example, you'd find that, for example, Tanzania, the past week we had our Tanzanian counterparts, and one of the biggest issue there is technology is not big. You know, even getting developers, it's quite expensive. They're nowhere to be found. So there's unique country challenges that one finds. And those are some of the things that we then have to grapple with to say, if we are going to launch in Tanzania, what does that mean? When we're going to launch in Morocco, what elements are we going to face there? From a, you know, a currency perspective as well, you want that when you switch on your app in, you know, in the USA, it changes into dollars and everything really swaps there. Similar to South Africa, it must come back and be rand. So from a development perspective, those are the issues that we grapple with and solutions that we need to come up with. So what we are finding really then is, how do we then still scale? You know, we are seeing that we do have a market. We do have, you know, a great demand of users that want to use the app. We've got over 13,000. This is when we've just done soft launches that are using the app on a daily basis and are paying for it. This is a subscription model type of an app where you pay a subscription to use the app. So you can move on to the next slide, Danny. Sorry about this. Thank you. So where we are now is, as a business now expanding Lemi, right? What we are finding is there's a big demand. However, some of the challenges is we are developing an app. One of the big things that we're finding in the country is shortages of developers, talent, which I'll just speak to now. I'll start with funding as one of the things that we are, you know, debating about. You know, as an executive now, developing an application like this is quite expensive. To give context, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, and any other, I would say OpenAI is one of those things that are big now that everyone knows about. It takes a whole host of over 20,000 developers to really work on an application. So those are, you know, upfront costs that one has to grapple with. You know, there is testing that has to happen. There is us going into different markets to see what's happening and how we can support users. So upfront, those are funding, you know, costs that we need to pay for. So one of the things that we need to look at is, you know, markets like the USA, you know, investors fund ideas. You know, they are happy to just put in money into an idea. Let's see how far you go. But from a South African context, what normally happens is investors fund traction. Day two, you must make a profit. We are sitting where we are. We've tested the market. We've got about 13,000 users. Some are using a freemium model. Some are using a subscription model where they pay. However, we're still at a point where we need to find funds to grow this application. Do we then now say, you know what, let's go to Europe, let's go to the Americas, let's go raise? Or do we keep going? Do we find other venues to fund this application? So those are questions that we sit with now and make a decision. Why? let me give you examples of some of the dynamics that you'll then have to deal with. If you then say, I'm going to raise funding now, you'll hear people say you're pre-seed or seed. One of the key things that you find when you find a funder very early on in your business, you no longer technically own the business, depending on how much equity you give away, but you now report to investors. What tends to happen in that space is it takes away a lot of the creativity. You will have a clear idea in terms of what you're building, where you're going, but funders are saying we want our return. Then they take over and change everything. So there is an advantage of that in terms of you'll get money up front, but fundamentally you may find that a lot of the decisions you need to make have to change in terms of the vision that you had for the platform. Some of the other things that you then face is reporting. You then move from not having board meetings to now on a quarterly basis, you need to be bottled down in putting together slides, a presentation in terms of where the money is, how much you're making, operational issues, how many people have you hired, how many devs have you found. So administratively, it becomes a burden. So do you raise now or do you not, and at what point do you then decide to raise, So those are some of the challenges that and opportunities that you then have to look at in terms of raising, particularly from a tech perspective, because it really, really requires funds to build it up. The other investment need that we are then facing is a lot of our entrepreneurs have never used a tech platform. The best that they know is really having been on Facebook or Insta from a social element. We've never really used a tech platform from a day-to-day, productivity. You find this in large, corporates. You find this in matured businesses where they use your Trellos, they use the Mondays, but never really, small businesses that say, I want to grow, and my road to growth is really having a day-to-day process that functions, and the technology can help me do that. So what we're finding is a lot of education that we need to do. That is now more investment from a monetary perspective, because it's not us now going to say, what, it's Instagram, everyone really knows what it is now. You're able to just run with it. We are the first of our kind globally to put together a one-stop shop solution for SMEs. So what you need to do is do a lot of education. What is LEMI, which we are now evolving into what we call desk flow. You'll find in the market now something called desk flow. That's the name that we're evolving to package just the productivity elements for businesses. So a lot of education has to go into a lot of demos, a lot of cold calling. Let's bring into a meeting. Let's come over to your office. That requires a lot of investments. Us investing in teams to do that. Us investing in going into different platforms to be able to educate our SMEs in terms of the offering that we have. So that speaks to, upfront high costs that are needed. We also then sit down and say, okay, fine, from an investment perspective, what's the quickest way to scale? Because we're still a business, right? You need to grow your revenue as quickly as possible. How do you do that? Instead of convincing Tabero, who is a small business owner on her own, why not partner with other, DFIs, with donors, with enterprise support organizations like ours as well? So those are different, elements that we then have to look at to say, how do we find these partnerships? What propositions do we go there for them? It's not us just wanting something out of them or having, proposing that we get their SMEs into our platform, but what are we offering in return? It goes beyond monetary value that we'll then have to speak to. What that requires as well is a lot of investment in time, in funds as well. We've been traveling, in Europe. We've traveled to Europe. We've done a lot of countries there, the UK, Spain, France, where we're now talking with different partners so that we're able to launch this product in different continents. similar to Africa. We've done quite a couple of countries as well to look at that. So from an investment perspective, you then have to also look at it from that perspective as an executive. What do you start with? What, to get the highest return in order to launch and scale the product. From a talent perspective, I spoke to the developers, which are key and critical to the work that has to be done, and to ensure that the product is it works, it's excellent, the engagement is easy by users. We're competing with banks, we're competing with big corporates as well. How do you then retain this talent? Some of the things that we then look at is, giving them equity into the business. And how much equity do you give? You're just starting out. When you think about now scaling and getting funding, how does that all work? So these are some of the conversations that one has to look at and say, how do I retain talent? How do I support this team that you have to ensure that the product at the back end is seamless and it functions. I mentioned earlier, teams require teams of over 20,000 developers and a support team. How do we get to that point as well? And from a strategic perspective, and this is a question that I wanted to then end with as a conversation, with everything that I've presented now, with the opportunities, with the challenges that we're facing from a geopolitical perspective, from different geographies and how to penetrate those, from an investment perspective, from how do we fund this business and grow it, and how do we look at talent, as an owner, as a founder, as an executive, how do you then balance the growth of the business, the education piece of it, because you're first of your kind in the market. How do you then also balance sustainability of the business while you're solving the actual problem that you started out with, which is helping founders to manage their business, to grow their business, and to connect them to opportunities beyond their communities and beyond their geography as well. So I wanted to just then pause here and have a conversation with you guys to see what your understanding would be of the concept that we have, and what your inputs would be from an executive perspective, and what are some of the other problems that I may have not spoken about, because there are quite a lot. So Ere, I'm not sure if you can help facilitate this point, so that we then field question inputs for us to then speak about technology in Africa and how we can then scale it and ensure that it's really a successful business.
No, thank you so much, Thapelo. I was saying that, and I know they're not going to believe me. Feli does not know about this presentation and the professional development. They think that this is almost like a precursor to the next assessment. Maybe Thapelo will tell you she's friends with Saika, so you never know. She's very good friends with Saika.
Well, the thing is, I think from perhaps maybe speaking about technology, that's where the world is going. And those are things that you need to be thinking about beyond just being a tech business, just a traditional business itself. How do you use technology to create efficiencies, to streamline processes and all of that, So I would want you to think about those aspects as well.
Great, Tim, please. As I heard you guys are celebrating and you were saying I'm Feli's friend. What are some, Thapelo posed 2 questions, and maybe she'll elaborate further. She was asking that she spoke about a couple of challenges which the business like Lemi and My Door might face, and any other business as a whole when they're trying to, and I like what she said, that as a business you have a vision which you're trying to reach and you're trying to realize, but that within that process there will be these other challenges which you'll face. and there are many other challenges. What are some of the challenges which you believe that as business, whether in South Africa or in Africa as a whole, or actually across the globe, what are some of the challenges which they will face? And for me, one of the things which I always like is to say that what are some of the business solution you guys as subject experts and as responsible business leaders, you're going to be bringing out there. Remember, one of the things which we always, I remember on the last session for Business Acumen, was to say that in order for you to be a difference maker out there, you need to be now bringing value to a business. So if Tabera was to say, Ere, I'm looking for a newly qualified CA, what will be some of the solution you'll bring for my door and Lenny? Or what would be some of the questions you'll ask so that you're able to indeed bring her those solutions?
No, definitely, Ere. And I think maybe to just add to what you're saying, if you are the CFO, right, and I spoke about funding, would you say, go guys, no, let's go raise. We've got a lot of expenses, to cover. And, we've got devs, we've got education that we need to do, we've got adverts that we need to do, we've got traveling that has to happen. And you're a founder or you're a CEO, and where you are now is from a strategic perspective. If I raise too early, the valuation of the company would be low. Maybe let's hold it out, for a further couple of years. Let's test our concept. We've got an MVP. So maybe let's hold it out. And if you're an HR executive, but I need talent, I need to compete so that I give out the best product. What do you do? So those are some of the things now that as an executive, you need to be thinking about, and how can we work, seamlessly together as a team with the head and the responsibility that you have. All in all of us trying to make sure that the business is successful.
Great. I already have there are 3 hands. I think you guys can go ahead in the order of the hands.
Good evening. I can't see the order of the hands. I hope I'm the first one.
You are. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Tabi. I'm gonna act like I am not biased and I don't know you. But thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you, Ere, for bringing this incredible woman here for us to teach us and to give us this informative presentation. So I wanted to ask if you could please bring that last slide, because I wanted to talk to something on the slide. Tabi, you asked a lot of questions, but I had just one. I have a solution for one, but it's also like an open-ended solution. It's not like a final solution. So for talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
For talent, my thinking is that obviously there's immediate talent that's required right now to run the business, right? And then there's talent that's gonna be required obviously in the future that can still be acquired in a time that it takes for a qualification in developing in tech development to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my thinking is that I know that private schools have already started in including a lot of technology in the studies of the children, and that's already building us to like it's already a good base for us, for the children and for the coming working class and business owners, right? Once they get to university, then it will be easier for us to get developers. But the question is, what do we do in the meantime? In the meantime, we do have employees. We do have adults that are already in university, out of university, working, that are ready to explore this technology or education, right? So we can perhaps find a way for us to encourage them to study, maybe have incentives for them to study, right, as a way to get sustainable talent. And also, obviously, on the contracts we will have something like you have to work for us for like 5 years or something as part of the benefit. Obviously we will pay them because the work requires us to pay them well, right?
I don't have money.
So
I don't have a budget. How do I pay them well?
okay, but I think, as an entry level CA, I think you understand where I'm going with this.
So you raise very interesting ideas, definitely. So one of the things that we're finding is we're very fortunate that we've got a lot of tech schools coming up, training. So some of the things that we are doing currently is we're sourcing from those schools, right? Learners that are not placed. What we then also find as a challenge is that are not really yet there in terms of experience. And some will say,
oh yeah,
do this, and they can't. So it's really then going with the concept of start growing your own timber, sort of a training office of sorts. So those concepts that we're going with as well. Lower salaries, you're able to train. So you invest in a very experienced developer who's able to then pass on the lessons. Some of the things that we're doing to retain the employees, because it's not only about salaries, it's about, job satisfaction, it's equity as well. If a developer knows that I own part of the company, they are more than willing, if I can put it that way, to stay on and see the vision through. Some of the things that we're doing, for example, next month we've got a tech conference in the USA. We're taking the tech team there, so that they're able to see beyond South Africa and Africa. Some of these young people have never been in a plane. Their first trip is going to the USA. So some of these are the things that, as an HR person, you have to look at and say, beyond just monetary salaries, yes, let's compete, let's pay them well. How can you retain them, have them become happy, employees? So definitely you're spot on in terms of that. Then the other, curveball is, now you're launching into Tanzania, for example, a space where there are no developers at all. Universities still study theory in tech. So how do you then tackle, environments like that? Do you import in those countries developers? What are the rules of doing business in that space? So those are then the concept that one has to look at. Yeah. But thanks for the input.
Thank you.
I see there's Chabelo. Chabelo, you can go ahead. I think it's this. Keta, I think you can go.
Hi, Tabelo.
Hi.
I hope I said that close enough. Yeah, I think I share the same inputs to a certain extent with Atara. I had similar mindset to say I've seen how the schools are going towards robotics learning, where the kids are learning how to program already in school. And I thought that definitely would assist in saying grow your own crops, right? And then nurture them and get them to the caliber that you want. I think another part that, since now you've raised, when you're moving into a foreign space, one thing that could be considered there is the incentive to say, no, we know you don't have the skills. We'll bring in the people who are then going to train your locals on that. And after several years, we'll employ your locals, and then our people will go back to wherever they are working. In terms, again, of talent retention, I was thinking how the whole work from home, remote working actually is so beneficial for us, because I feel like if my manager trusts me to get the job done and I can still get my own things done, then I will definitely go 150% and not just maybe 80% like normal, because I'm spending so much time on the road. I'm getting my stuff done, I'm getting the work done, and it's beneficial. It's a win-win situation in essence. And then yeah, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, but it's just I had a lot of things that I'm thinking. And then in terms of the funding, I think for me, before deciding whether to get investors in now or later, that would be determined by whether I can fund myself until I don't have, until we need to actually roll out the product. So the production, testing, and everything, if you are able to fund that without having investor buy-in, and you come to them with a finished product, then you have more leverage to say, look, I don't need your inputs. This is the final product. I've explored my full capacity in terms of creative thinking. I've directed and gone with the product the way I wanted it, or according to my vision that I had to begin with, without any investor input. So when I pitch it to an investor, when it's time to roll out, now needing big scale funds, I would have more leverage to say, look, the product is already finished. Your investment, I would only give you this much because now my product is obviously worth more than the funds that I need to do the rollout. So that's where I'm thinking in terms of the funding.
I love that. Definitely something to consider. I normally call it, create a runway, have enough money to, move through the initial, concepts or things that you need to do for the business. And some of the things that you can deploy there's one-off projects that normally come up, especially with development. We want an e-commerce store, we want this. Those are, small projects that you can give to your experienced developers, because it will not necessarily take a lot of time, but it then gives you alternative funds so that you're able to fund the big project. So those are things that, one can think about, because there's higher demand as well, like I said. So those are some of the things that you can think about. What alternative revenue can we get, and how quickly can we do that? So to add to what you just mentioned, yeah. Sichabelo, you can go ahead.
Okay. So I'm sorry for delaying before.
No problem.
So I think definitely what was discussed now, I am in alignment. And I would think that one of the best things that we can do is to look at AI and ask ourselves, how best can we use AI to automate some of our own internal processes, right? And also, how can we also use AI to help our clients? So I think that would be maybe a session on its own.
No, I love what you're saying. We actually have, I'm so glad, like that the tech piece is so big. We actually have embedded AI into the platform that helps, the founders to put together a proposal. So instead of spending 5 days on putting together a proposal, it makes it easier for you. So those are small things, to your point, that you can introduce to streamline, to create efficiencies, and make it easier for users to buy as well. So you're definitely spot on. Lerato?
Yeah, and just so just to give you an elaboration of what I mean. Let's say I'm running a property business, right?
Yeah.
If I go to ChatGPT, every time I go, they have to give it new information. So I think if you can tailor the AI to be able to understand the customer, right? A real estate developer, someone that has maybe 2 flats would have different needs compared to someone that's actually tendering, right?
Yes.
So having a way that you can understand each customer's individual needs, and then with someone that wants to apply for a tender, maybe trade finance might be a right solution for them. But with someone that wants to develop property, right?
Yeah.
A home loan access might be a relevant solution for them. So I think looking at different ways in which you can use AI to understand your customer and tailor the finance option specifically for that customer.
So I suppose where you're going with this is client acquisition, right? I'm hearing correctly. I think
Yes, client acquisition, yes.
great. Definitely a great idea. Definitely a great idea, because that's the next problem that you need to solve. How do you speak to the different markets and offer them the solution that will speak to them? So you are spot on. Definitely a great idea. I have Lerato.
Hi.
I think there's someone that's unmuted. Ede or team, please assist in muting. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Good evening. Hi. I was just thinking, in terms of the technology challenges, where you indicated that, in terms of development, developers, and we actually need to bring a lot of new talent coming in. With the youth being tech savvy and sometimes not having the opportunity, and then with not only focusing on private schools, which might look like we're only looking at the niche market, possibly, I don't know, well, this is a big ask, but speaking with Department of Education, where you have something like a Maths Olympiad or Business Olympiad, because I've seen that they run at the kids' schools, where you then throw the problem at the kids to say, in your area, what kind of projects are you looking at? This is the challenge that this entrepreneur has. How would you want to, solve this problem? And then they try and develop a program and run with it, and it becomes fun. And then they compete against themselves among schools. That way you get interest, but also you then give them an incentive to develop. And if that their product or whatever they develop, the team comes up with a concept that can work, they get some form of incentive, and then you get the right to kind of develop it further.
No, you're definitely right, Lerato. One of the things that we just did last week, actually, with one of our clients is a hackathon that is we're trying to solve how can women in sports commercialize their talent, So you're really spot on. And beyond that, we are working with universities now to gain the interest and support. So schools are definitely the place to go to, to get the right talent and also get the interest, so that once they're at a higher level, they're able to become natural users of the platform. So you're really, really on the right track on that. Yeah. David Zintle?
Yeah, no, thank you, and good evening to everyone. Just perhaps a question. I don't have perhaps a solution for now. I'm looking at your business model in terms of your developing entrepreneurs, which is solve a lot of employment issues and so forth, in terms of people able to sort of make a living. Yeah. Secondly, is that the suggestion about you growing your own crops. I think that's what Keta said in terms of getting people that are still young, fresh from school perhaps, and you train them and so forth, and you're taking people to overseas. And the way I'm looking at it is that you are doing assisting a government a lot. And with these strategies then and your business model, have you considered government fundings? I think you've got a great value proposition for the government to actually fund, your business. Yeah, thanks.
No, thank you so much. So yeah, I think we all know government, right? And the dynamics there. You can have a meeting in 3 years' time. So in the meantime, what do you do? So definitely different conversations are happening. So what I normally call this, just put a line in the water. Like, when you fish, just put a line, put 5 lines in the water and focus on what you need to do. When something comes up, then you go and entertain it, right? Otherwise, if you just go and just focus on, okay, government has to fund us, you're going to close up very quickly. So outside of this, the one challenge that we face in supporting SMEs when it comes to government and its support, it's very, very slow. So we normally say, guys, have the conversations, but don't put all your hope and lungs and everything into it, because you're going to be very unhappy very quickly. So it takes a couple of years, if not anything, to actually get something down the line. Especially, for example, if you're looking at what we're offering, it's new, it's different, you know. So you're still going to have someone first and foremost grapple with, what is this? It looks exciting, but how do I even put out, if I, you know, everything is a tender there. If I need to support you a grant, I need to put, how do I spec it? How do I, you know? So there's those conversations that will take forever. Les?
Evening, Tavelo. I think all of us have our own pronunciation for your name.
Okay.
Look, I'm not sure how much I missed because I got a call when I wanted to ask a question. So please forgive me if I'm repetitive, ne? But maybe if I can engage you 1 or 2 questions and then I can further. I think like the business model that the gentleman and Dabezintle had touched on earlier. I just want to understand, these businesses that you're helping, are they your client, or do you guys take equity stakes in them? Or is it basically like an incubator where they are the product that you are selling to a market? So in my case, for example, if I'm an investor, it's a product that I would be investing in, getting from you with a certain criteria that I know that if these people are coming from Tabelo's business, they've got a certain level, a certain number of competencies.
Okay.
So let me start by understanding, what are the businesses to you?
Okay. So MyDo is a enterprise support organization. We run incubation programs, business support programs. Largely, we partner with corporates that will sponsor the program. The business owner will not pay anything for that.
Yeah.
Lemmy then became a product that was born out of the experience and the work that we've been doing, to say, you know, on a daily basis, an SME needs a platform where they manage, run, and connect their business. Then it became a subscription type of a model. It's a subscription type of a model that one uses. It's like using Sage, basically, as simple as that. So we've created a similar product for SMEs to say, if you cannot get access to MyDo from an incubation, and if you've been in a program and now you are at a better place and you're growing, how can you still, on a daily basis, use a product that helps you grow your business and help you manage your business? So it's a subscription as a service model from a Lemmy perspective, and that's today's conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming then in that regard, you're saying your customer is the corporate, right?
No, the customer at this point is the SME.
Okay.
How do I get them to subscribe and pay a fee to use the platform?
Okay. And between MyDo and Lemmy, who is generating you more revenue?
So Lemmy is a product that we are still developing. It's out in the market. We've launched it and we are growing it. So currently, MyDo is funding the development and the support of this new baby.
Yeah.
But it has to get to a point where it needs to grow. And hence the conversation that I was having, to say, if MyDo did not exist, how would we grow this business?
Lemmy. Okay. So say now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm sitting at home. I'm making, let's push it to 500,000 a year. But as an individual, I go to work, I come back after hours, I've got 2-3 orders.
Yeah.
Whatever, a hoodie, financial statements, you name it. Essentially, you saying to me that with Lemmy, I subscribe, and then you basically become the systems that I should have been building, because I'm either not building them because I don't have the resources to build them, or I don't have a mix of time and resources. And if I'm understanding you correctly.
I'm not sure whether you saw the demo I made. It just showed a few of the features, but essentially it's what you're saying. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in selling it, is it then a matter of educating the entrepreneurs,
or is it a matter of I'm looking for entrepreneurs that know exactly what it is that their business is missing? And here we are, we finally exist. So I get a lot of entrepreneurs who, let's say they'll come to me, hey, you're doing accounting, can you do my books?
Yeah.
And I'm caught between knowing how to prepare IFRS and IFRS for SME Fs versus they already come to me knowing what it is exactly they want to do with the financial statements. So they're not necessarily looking for me to educate them on what Fs can do for their business. They're looking for how do I get Fs as quickly as possible for this particular place who have applied for funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the platform has a functionality where one is able to quote invoice, right? What
Yeah.
that does on a monthly basis, it helps you create your management accounts, and eventually you'll be able to just pull an income statement from there without having to really, if you take it to an accountant, really is to do a sense check. And I know there's a lot of dodgy things that the accountants do that we do. So it's for
Report
that.
them. Mukwanas is looking for them.
So the platform, what it does on a daily basis, because the entrepreneur will be invoicing, it tracks all of that. You're able to pull statements to share with your clients. You're able to pull management accounts, and in a click of a button, you'll be able to create financial statements. So that's what the part of the features in the platform will help you do.
Okay. And then
to a point of education.
Pardon?
No, to a point of education, the education piece comes in from this perspective. If you really think about it, we don't necessarily have any that I know of that have put all of this in one. South Africa, we're still we're great at social media platforms. We're great, we know them, but productivity tools, technology, zero. We don't know much about it. So from our perspective, there's a lot of education that we need to educate our founders on, so that they understand what the platform would and the value that it would offer them. So that's the education piece of it, which will require an investment from our side.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done with my back and forth. I was interviewed. Things I needed to understand, because then from where I stand, right, your customer becomes almost twofold. So I'm not a fan of when we say, when we make the statements, government. At some point, even we as Black people, for that matter, we have to wrestle with the monster.
Yeah.
Government is sitting on 2 trillion rands that is available. And they're saying that they're not seeing, we have a GDP that's growing at 0.1%. If we're walking away from that, there's nobody else that has that type of money and that type of scale. So what I would be interested in from from Lemi, for example, right? I've audited your CEDA, your CFAs. I've got mentors that have worked for CEDA, CFA. Then some have even gone to the Industrial Development Corporation itself. So it's almost like you can have contact with someone that can take any of the businesses that you work with, from startup all the way up to as big as what was it that we were having the other time, the Black Industrial program that the country was having. But they're looking at the fact that, for example, CEDA, every year they have a mandate to educate and upskill up to 1,000, 10,000 SMMEs. And for me, that immediately becomes your client to say that, listen, you have a R1 billion budget to educate 10,000 SMEs. We have a platform that does it with 20 million, 30 million, either as an investment in us or Vele as a tender, as you mentioned. It's not nice having to tender. But on the other side, the big goal is the fact that with that investment, you then can accelerate them meeting their mandate. Because the challenge government has, and I used to make this comment when I was auditing them, that I really feel that Black people need a Cecil Rhodes, someone that can go across the country and implement these sort of initiatives at scale. The challenge they often find is the fact that you come and you're presenting something that's going to impact 50 to 100 startups. On a reporting dashboard, yeah, someone that has to deliver on the mandate to develop SMEs, that doesn't even move the needle. They have to report to 10,000. Funding someone that impacts 100 is not going to move them. But if you walk into a room and you say to them that, listen, I can impact, or especially if we're using technology, I can impact 30% of the 2 million entrepreneurs across SADC. Now you get their ears and you get their attention, and then it becomes again wrestling the gorilla. And I know it's easier said than done from this side of the field. I mean, now I'm a returned soldier. I come back having been told straight to my face that, hey man, unless you're targeting 1 million entrepreneurs all the way up to Tanzania, you are thinking too small. The president is not interested. It's a non-starter, you know. But I appreciated the spirit of industrialization type innovation that they were talking about. I'm a shareholder in Facebook, and one of the things that impressed me about Facebook is roughly 20 years old now, which is not long for us that are almost 35. We saw it in front of our eyes. Zuckerberg didn't dream of, making a dent in America. He went for the whole world and he captured it. And he's still our age. He's our peer. Yeah. So I think that your product is essential. And I do think that the money is there, which is what we all actually even know. I think you even know it, that what's said is every time we get on these platforms, we say small businesses fail for a lack of capital. And it's not a lack of capital, it's lack of access to that capital that exists. The criteria is looking a million ways, except for what the entrepreneur on the ground needs the money for, But yeah, all the best, and yeah, thanks for your engagement.
I'm definitely wrestling with all of that. Like I mentioned earlier, it's honestly conversations that we are having. We've started. Easy, not easy. Will it take time? Definitely. Hence, for me, it's put the line in the water and focus on what you need to. Otherwise, you get carried away and you stop the vision. So I totally agree, and we won't stop having conversations with government. Yeah. Eda, please let me know. I know we started a bit late, but please control the time for me if you don't mind. Keta, you can go ahead.
Yeah. I think one of my questions is, so the subscription to, is it Lemi? Yes.
Yes.
How does it work, and how much is, like, for example, how much would a company or an individual pay to subscribe to that platform?
Okay. It's simple, like any other, I would say, online platform. If you are now going to, if you're going to use the plus of ChatGPT, they would want you to put your bank details, like an online purchase. It works like that. It's straightforward like that. The prices differ depending on the product you're looking for. There's a freemium basic version where you don't do a lot of things. Then there's a middle ground which gives you, if you've got a team of 1 to 4, you're able to get boards, you're able to onboard your team. If an enterprise version, which is the high end, really for a little bit bigger teams. At the moment, I stand to be connected in terms of where we are from a pricing perspective. We're looking at about just under 3,000 rands per annum for use of the platform. So that's the sort of the launch price that we have now, just under 3,000. And if you look, I'm not sure if any of you guys know SCNet. So what we've done is, and I want you to think about it this way, we've taken what SCNet does, which is giving you tenders. You pay an average of about 4,000 rands, I think, there. We've taken what you can do in Sage, and there's a subscription there. There's a subscription of using a CRM. There's a subscription of, an e-commerce. So if you look at the value, is we've taken 10 platforms and collapsed them into one, because we know that an entrepreneur does not have time to open 10 tabs for them to run their business. So we've taken what's essential and put it into one. So the value that you're getting, I'd want you to think about it that way. On average, one would be paying 10,000 plus if they were to subscribe to all of these. And we are now saying you can get all of that at a price point of just under 3,000, I think 2,900 at this point. Yeah.
The yearly rate.
Yes.
Okay. So now to my real question. If, for example, like how, I don't know if this was Liz or Ndabe, you've got people approaching you, entrepreneurs, tenderpreneurs saying, look, you're an accountant, I need you to do my books. As an accountant doing someone's books, am I able to subscribe to the platform for the purpose of then using it for my clients' books?
You can. What the platform offers you is an ability to run your business. If your client is, someone spoke about property. If you are managing 10 properties, those are your clients. That's what you do. If your client is another business, you can come in and do that. If your client is you're an audit firm and you need to run an audit, you're able to do that. So it speaks to any type of business. What you do is just customize it based on who your client is, but it services any type of business.
And we've been talking about SME, so does it include like large companies?
Yes.
Or would it work for large companies?
It would work for any type of company. If you think about a sales tracker, any business must get leads. They have business development offices and departments or divisions. They must track their leads. They must track what's happening. They will still use that. There's project management features as well. You have to manage, if you are a senior manager at the Auditor General and you need to manage your staff, you can do that. So the idea for us and the target market for us is SMEs, because we know that the largest number of, I would say, job creators globally. And we are finding that they are struggling to grow and scale their businesses fundamentally because they don't really have the functionalities that we are providing as a solution. So we sort of answering the problem of how do we help them stabilize their businesses and run sustainable businesses. That if my laptop is lost, I have lost that email that I had sent to Honeywell or Anglo, or I've lost, that number that I needed in my diary, because I don't have anywhere else that I'd put it, but it's all on the platform, no one sees it. It's like any other platform. You're the only one that is able to track the information. It gives you reminders of important documents that you must remember to renew. So that's the solution and the pain point that we are trying to solve for SMEs.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Any other last input or question? Okay, I think everyone is good. Oh, Munene?
Hi, Tapelo.
Hi.
I think for me, it's just a general input for everyone that is currently gathered here. I used to work for an NGO, and one of the most critical skills that I think is lacking here in South Africa is about raising funds. So, I sit and ask myself, who is the best person? By this, I mean, is it a financial person that can be good, or is it an IT person? I mean, as we sit and we discuss about it, I think it's a skills that we need to start tackling, how to raise funds, because for example, with your company, like you said, you want to grow your own timber. You can have a separate NGO
that is based on grooming youth, tackling unemployment for youth. But then you need someone who can raise funds. There are a lot of rich individuals that are, ready to rescue Africa. But if you were to hire or get someone to raise those funds, to send an email to convince them, I think it's the most critical skills that is lacking. And I'm just putting it to the group to say, let's think about it. Let's think about how we're going to go about doing that. So you can have a small business company and then open an NGO, that can boost for new ideas and tackle other challenges. However, where is the skills to be able to raise funds, to contact Elon Musk to say, this is what I'm busy with? Or maybe we also need similar things that you have, but where donors, people that are ready to. I've read another articles when Bill Gates is saying we wanna, donate all his money to charities. Are we ready to grab that money as African? Are we ready? Do we have everything, to say, we know when you about to retire, there's this money, this is our ideas, this is where we're going. So it's just input for me that I think I saw it's lacking. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nene. What a way to end this. You are absolutely right. That is the biggest challenge that we face, I would say, in my door particularly, in helping these businesses scale. Scaling is sales. That's it. Your job as an owner, it's two, according to me, is to sell and to hire the best talent to run operations. The selling part, we run away from. We are all accountants. We will do the books. We'll run around. We'll look busy, but we are so scared of selling. And it's a muscle. It's something that we are not born with. Some are natural at it, but it's something that, to your point, we need to learn and be comfortable with, because that's the bottom line. Whether you're an NGO or your for-profit company, the first line item is revenue. It has to come from somewhere. And the models and ways of getting the money, it depends on the type of business you are. Either it's business development or it's really a direct sales. So it's conversations, I think, for another day. But I love the fact that you really are emphasizing it, because it's one of the key challenges that we solve for. And once it's unlocked, trust me, everything else becomes easier to solve for, because you're not awake at night because you're worried that rent is not going to be paid at the end of the month. Okay, Sichabelo. Ere, please, I'm not sure whether we still have time or what.
No, I see. I should have brought you at the beginning of the year so that they can converse with you throughout the session, throughout the year. But you guys, please do not. I'm not restricting Tabero. Tabero is a friend of the brand. She's actually beyond the friend of the brand. So we're still gonna have her. I'm gonna one day also ask her to be there on our, because she's talking platform, right? I'm gonna also get her on our Viva Engage. One day she'll come and also continue to engage with you, maybe after one of the assessment, as part of just reminding you of some of the business decisions and challenges which the businesses have. As you continue, like she's saying, this is not unique to any business, it's businesses. So as an APC candidate, as a responsible business leader, whether you're a mentor or your business leader, whether you're APC candidate or an IAC candidate or an ABC candidate, regardless of where you are, whether you're going to be an employee or an employer, you still need to bring solutions.
Yeah,
that's what makes the difference. So I am sure that we can continue this conversation the whole night. But Manukai is eagerly waiting to come in, and she's like, ooh, what's happening today? What's happening today? They don't want to let go of Tabero. I think she came in through a bit late in the year. But this was indeed an amazing session, Tabero. Thank you so much for really gracing us with all this. I love all the questions you've raised, because for us, we're going to just continue to engage with them. We're going to continue to think about the different challenges. We're also going to continue to think about the solutions, because remember that, as chartered accountants, We need to bring solutions. We're expected to bring solutions at the end of the day. And like I was saying, that does not matter which shoes you're wearing, whether you're gonna be your business leader, whether you're gonna be a consumer, or whether you are employee, employer, entrepreneur. At the end of the day, you are a value creator, and we can bring this solution. But thank you so much for challenging us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry for those that can't ask any more questions. I'm just conscious of time and respecting everyone's time. But happy to come back, guys. It is right. I'm a child of the brand. So happy to converse, come back in any of your sessions to unpack these things. There is no right or wrong answer. It really is us finding solutions, testing, trialing, and moving to the next thing. So it's really about that. Don't be bottled down on, it's not the right one. Maybe if I fail, no, go trial. We do that on a daily basis to get to the best solution for your business. So even when you're writing and thinking about this, throw on the different suggestions that you have in your mind, because it shows that you're thinking critically about the different ways in which you can solve for this. But yeah, I think I will end it there.
Thank you so much, Tabel.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. I wonder if Manuka is already here. Maybe Manuka, we can give them 5 minutes water break, like stretch.
Happy for you to even give them 10. It sounds like it was an exciting session. Let's start at exactly 7:45.
Great. Thank you so much. Please come back, all of you, 7:45. Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, but first, I just wanted to appreciate, the Endunama experience. I just sent them a WhatsApp message in the group that Endunama really did the most, and I'm glad I actually chose you guys as a podcast, because you actually taught us a lot. And when you speak about business acumen, this is really what it means, It's not just case studies, it's real life scenarios, and I really appreciate that, So, and I think, personally, when I decide to start a business, I would actually love to use Tabelo's CRM software. And I really, really think it's a cost saver, especially for someone that's starting out. So I think I was just asking for more information, so that we can also share it with our friends as well. But I really, really appreciate it. You really gave us the best. Appreciate it.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Absolutely. Tabelo is a friend of the brand. I'm gonna also make sure that I get all the details for both my Do and Lemi, the app which they're continuously developing, and we'll also have them. They talk platform, so I'll also have them on my platform.
So perhaps maybe Ere, for easy of connection, right? If you go on www.lemiapp.io, you can connect with us. There's a free version of it that you can go in. And if you want to upgrade, there's a paid version with all the solutions I gave. So
please drop the link on the chat.
Let me do that now. So yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words. Thank you so much.
Great.